Welcome to my channel to listen to sinister stories. A chilling encounter unfolded at the local Walmart, sending shivers down my spine. It was just a few weeks ago, when darkness had already engulfed the night sky, beckoning me to embark on a routine shopping trip. The time was around 8:00 p.m., and the store seemed relatively calm, a delicate balance between bustling activity and eerie quietude that often pervades such places after twilight. As I ventured deeper into the fluorescent lit aisles, my mind preoccupied with a short shopping list, an enigmatic figure caught my attention. Walking in the opposite direction, a man materialized before me, his shirt emblazoned with an unsettling inscription, "Human Mammal." Bizarre, yet fleeting, this encounter compelled me to proceed towards my destination, a sense of unease hanging over me like a dense fog. My first stop led me down the aisle, housing an array of soaps. As I perused the selection, my memory captured the man's peculiar shirt, etching it into the depths of my mind. Little did I know that this would not be the last time our paths would intersect. Oblivious to the impending terror, I continued my shopping endeavor, navigating towards the store's rear, where the remaining items on my list awaited. Minutes turned to infinite stretches of time as I meticulously gathered my purchases. Finally, with the items securely in my possession, I retraced my steps towards the store's entrance. However, as I progressed, an eerie hush enveloped the air, a stark contrast to the previous commotion. In the midst of this eerie silence, my eyes fixated on a lone figure, a specter of menace lurking amidst the oppressive stillness. It was him, the man I had encountered earlier, now standing in a random aisle, callously vandalizing the shelves. His actions were deliberate, as if he derived perverse pleasure from creating chaos amidst the orderly aisles. Dark, unruly hair framed his face, accentuating the ambiguous intentions that flickered within his soul. Towering at just under 6 feet, he exuded a presence that chilled me to my core. Unable to avert my gaze, curiosity compelled me to break the silence. I approached him cautiously, my words laced with a genuine curiosity rather than anger or confrontation. Yet my inquiries fell on deaf ears, as he purposefully disregarded my presence. Searching for assistance, I scanned my surroundings, only to find the absence of any employees nearby. When my eyes met his once again, he responded with a vulgar gesture, one that sent shivers down my spine and fueled the rising sense of dread within me. Realizing that any form of confrontation might threaten my safety, I chose to walk away, leaving this deranged individual behind. Surely someone would soon bear witness to his disturbing actions, and the store authorities would swiftly remove him from our midst. I pressed onward, my journey leading me towards the self-checkout area. Esteeming the normalcy of life, with a heavy sigh of relief, I successfully completed my transaction and approached the exit, cradling the hope that I had left the deranged man behind me. Alas. As I cast a hesitant glance over my shoulder, dread gripped me once more, an icy knot of fear constricting my insides. To my dismay, the figure in the human mammal shirt pursued me persistently. His presence felt like a relentless shadow, haunting my every move. Peering into the dark abyss of the parking lot, I discerned his sinister silhouette, lingering approximately 50 feet behind. Ignoring the nagging feeling, I reassured myself that my paranoia was unfounded and continued on my path, hoping to evade his ominous presence. As I settled into my car, ready to embrace the sanctuary of its familiar confines, terror gripped my heart. The unwanted guest had surreptitiously followed me, closing the distance between us with each passing moment. Through the rear window, his gaze bore into my soul a chilling amalgamation of malevolence and insanity. Panic coursed through my veins as minutes stretched into eternity, his immobility amplifying the chilling aura that ebbed from his very being. As I tried to comprehend the bewildering message, a A sound behind me startled my senses. Nurse Julia, her voice trembling, apologized. "Sorry, Miss Palmer. I forgot my phone." "Have it back, please." An involuntary shiver coursed through me as I reluctantly handed her the phone. Julia swiftly took it without a second glance and began to walk away. I cautiously made my way towards the exit, only to notice Arnold sitting in the backseat of the car, absorbed in typing on his newly acquired phone. His mother started the car engine, and as Arnold glanced at me one last time, an unnerving, wide grin stretched across his face. I worked as part of the cleaning staff in a local hospital, where I frequently encountered people in the worst states of health. However, one patient's ordeal would forever haunt my memory. His name was Billy, admitted to the burn unit due to a tragic house fire. It was said that half of his house had turned to ash, and his wife, Sandra, succumbed to the flames, leaving only her charred remains. Billy suffered severe burns on his left hand and leg, but his overall condition was believed to be treatable. Yet there was something undeniably sinister about his room. Each time I entered to perform my cleaning duties, a chilling dread overwhelmed me. The odor of burnt flesh permeated the air, and an inexplicable coldness enveloped the room. Billy remained heavily sedated, battling his pain with powerful medications. One fateful night, during my assignment for the night shift, I found myself in Billy's room. The late hours provided an eerie sense of tranquility, with most patients slumbering peacefully. It was around 1:30 when I began mopping the floors of Billy's room. Upon entering, I immediately noticed a figure, hauntingly twisted and weeping in the center of the room. It was Billy, his burnt hand and limb catching my attention. His tear-streaked face was fixed upon a dark corner of the wall, and in an unsettling, ominous tone he murmured, "Why? Why are you tormenting me? What else do you desire? I beg of you, leave me be." Startled, I cautiously approached, asking, "Is everything all right, sir?" Billy turned to face me, anguish etched upon his features. He pointed towards the shadowy corner and pleaded, "Tell her to go away. She keeps returning. Isn't she supposed to be dead?" Overwhelmed by fear, Billy collapsed onto the floor, his frail body succumbing to the weight of his suffering. Shaken and petrified, it took me a moment to gather my wits and inform the doctors and nurses. Their hurried arrival demonstrated their astonishment at Billy's ability to leave his bed, despite excruciating pain. From that night onward, whenever I entered Billy's room for cleaning duty, an indescribable terror gripped me. Despite acknowledging the plausibility of a rational explanation, I couldn't help but wonder his deceased wife lurked in that dark corner, observing my every move. Days passed, and with each visit to Billy's room, my trepidation grew. The deep breathing of the sedated patient echoed in the stillness of the room, amplifying my paranoia. I could not shake the unsettling notion that Sandra's spirit lingered, silently watching me. As his condition deteriorated, he began exhibiting increasingly distressing signs of trauma and fear. I would often hear chilling screams emanating from his cabin, witnessing doctors and nurses rush to subdue him. I attempted to evade entering his room by altering my shift, hoping to avoid any unnerving encounters. However, fate had different intentions for me. One morning, my boss unexpectedly contacted me, tempting me with the allure of double pay if I were to attend the night shift as well. In a world where financial security is sought by all, I reluctantly agreed. Knowing I had a brief respite the following day, I returned home for a momentary nap before embarking on the eerie night shift. As I entered the night's duties with a clear mind, I apprehensively began my routine. After tending to 5 or 6 rooms, I opted for a brief break before continuing. Seeking solace in the desolate cafeteria, I neared a vending machine, the sound of footsteps echoing from a distance. My gaze shifted, only to find Billy standing at the end of the dimly lit corridor. His arm and leg bore the remnants of burn wounds, and half his face was adorned with scars. Attempting to ease my rising disquiet, I cautiously addressed Billy. "Hey Billy, what's happening? Are you all right? You should return to your room." However, his presence disturbed me profoundly as he stared at me stoically, his breath hauntingly menacing. "Billy, "You're frightening me, man." "Please, don't," I pleaded. Confusion clouded his features as he vehemently denied any wrongdoing, feigning ignorance of my concerns. His feeble defense claimed coincidental exploration of the store and constant movement. Disbelieving his feeble explanations, I withdrew, allowing him to believe that my confrontation had exposed his intrusive actions. Reluctant to report him, I continued my shopping, praying that my encounter with this disturbing individual would never resurface. Yet, fate had other plans. Approximately 1 week later, a more cunning and discreet version of my tormentor resumed his pursuit. This time, his efforts to remain inconspicuous proved more successful, but I possessed an acute awareness of his presence, an unshakable intuition that crept beneath my skin. Detecting him lurking in the distance shortly after my arrival, I sought refuge in different aisles, desperately attempting to evade his scrutinizing gaze. However, his persistence grew evident as he haunted every turn, manifesting himself at the end of each aisle I entered. Driven to the brink of distress, I abandoned my shopping and hastily departed the premises. Despite my resolve to avoid that particular Walmart, a lapse in memory compelled me to return weeks later in search of familiarity. Naively yearning for an uneventful shopping trip, I entangled myself once more in a web of terror. Nearly 5 minutes after entering the store, a sense of impending doom consumed me as I glimpsed his insidious figure strolling casually, approximately 20 feet away. Suddenly jolted by recognition, I decided to make a swift exit, diverting to the nearest alternative Walmart, just a few minutes away. Every nerve in my body screamed as I hastened towards the exit, acutely aware of his presence tailing me. To my sheer dismay, he followed relentlessly, maintaining a distance of 20 feet. Panic clutched my heart tightly as I sprinted towards my car, unlocking it frantically. Scanning the surroundings, I failed to locate his whereabouts. Concealed among the parked cars, he could be lurking anywhere. Breathing heavily, I distanced myself from that place of terror, resolved never to return. Summoning the courage to report the terrifying ordeal, I dialed the Walmart's number, leaving the unsettling tale in their hands. Uncertain of their subsequent actions or the implications the incident held for the stranger, I clung to a glimmer of hope that I would never cross paths with him again. An eerie conclusion loomed over my thoughts, suggesting that perhaps he was not an employee at all, but rather an imposter concealed within the vest. Regardless of his origins, his ceaseless pursuit had left an indelible mark on my psyche, fostering a lingering apprehension that haunts my every step. I had just finished stocking shelves at my local Walmart, and the store was bustling with other shoppers. It was a normal afternoon, until a peculiar encounter sent shivers down my spine. As I perused the grocery aisle, I heard a distinct thud coming from the adjacent aisle's top shelves. Curiosity piqued, I paused my tasks and ventured to investigate. Perhaps it was a fellow co-worker, but when I turned the corner and glanced into the neighboring aisle, it was utterly vacant. No one was there. Initially baffled, I returned to my duties, assuring myself that it must have been a figment of my imagination. For the next 10 minutes, everything seemed ordinary until an unanticipated presence caught my eye. A man swiftly entered my line of sight for only a mere second, passing by my aisle. He didn't resemble an employee, raising concerns. Taking immediate action, I rose from my position and hurried towards the corner, hoping to confront him. However, upon reaching the aisle, he had vanished, fading into another section of the store. I called out aloud, seeking a response, but met with eerie silence. Compelled to uncover this enigmatic figure's purpose, I resolved to pursue him further. Venturing into the aisle where he had disappeared, unsettling emptiness greeted my gaze. Perplexingly, he had managed to evade detection, leaving me bewildered. Peering intently down the aisle, my eyes fixated on a chilling sight. There he was, clandestinely concealed. It's the bottom shelf, his form obscured by boxes. Only a fraction of his head was visible, quietly observing. Despite feeling a rising sense of unease, I couldn't resist summoning the courage to address him. I called out, instructing him to leave and reminding him that the store was closing. Oddly, he remained motionless, unperturbed by my presence. Deciding it was the wise course of action, I hastened to locate my boss, hoping to rid the store of this mysterious intruder. Together, we embarked towards the aisle where the man was stationed. However, our arrival at the scene coincided with his hasty retreat. He dashed away from us, vanishing from our sights. Although we gave chase briefly, his rapid pace eluded our pursuit. My boss swiftly contacted the authorities, assuring me that the situation would be resolved. With a sense of relief, I resumed my duties, believing the ordeal was behind me. For the next hour and a half, I diligently restocked shelves, engrossed in my work. Yet, as I stood alone in the store, an unsettling noise penetrated the air. Alarmed, I spun around, anticipating a familiar face to emerge. To my horror, it was him again, the same man. Panic gripped me as I instinctively fled, my heart pounding in my chest. Astoundingly, he gave chase, relentlessly pursuing me through a maze of aisles. Finally, finding refuge with a fellow co-worker, our combined presence diverted the man's attention, forcing him to flee in another direction. Authorities were promptly summoned and an evacuation order was issued for the safety of employees. The police swiftly arrived, and after what seemed like an eternity, they successfully apprehended the intruder. How he had managed to elude capture for hours inside the store after closing was a chilling mystery. It was discovered that he had surreptitiously moved about, hiding whenever he wasn't under scrutiny. His nefarious intentions remained unclear, leaving a profound sense of dread in their wake. Thankfully, I had noticed him in time. Certainty lingered as I pondered why he had targeted me specifically and how he had discovered my home address. The experience at Walmart unfolding not long ago forever etched unnerving thoughts in my mind. What's one place you can go to and find the weirdest, freakiest creatures in our society? I swear I've never been to a single Walmart where I didn't see at least one eye-catchingly strange human being. Strange does not even cut it for what I'm about to tell you. It was the Thursday before Black Friday. My Walmart was open extra late. I was in there around 11 o'clock looking for a new laptop, and by chance I picked up off the shelf the last one that was being promoted for a really good Black Friday deal. As I grabbed it, some big, revolting, dirty-looking guy comes up to me and insists he needs a laptop very badly. I nervously said, "I'm sorry, it's the last one." Then he got angry at me and started making a bit of a scene. The man clearly wasn't normal, and my heart started racing simply because I don't get put on guard in these kinds of situations. A lot of others looked on at the commotion. This big guy was making... I walked away with the laptop box quickly and went straight to a line. He kept yelling at me as I walked away. It was unbelievable. Some other customers on the line even tried to laugh with me and make me feel better, saying the guy was a nut. So I get home, my family is all asleep already. I go outside to sit in the yard by the pool and set up my new laptop. Then the light on the side of the house turned on, the one that turns on due to movement. I went to check the side of the house to make sure no one was there. Would that thing go off once in a while? Yeah, but there's a small patch of woods right next to the house, so animals would often run on the property, triggering it either way. So I went inside, locked the door, and finished setting up my laptop in the living room. The car alarm suddenly started going off outside. I recognized it to be my Cadillac. I looked out the window to confirm this. I ran to get my keys upstairs, then tried pressing the panic button to turn off the alarm. It didn't work from the inside, so I stepped out to the porch and clicked it off. But then I noticed a car parked in front of our house that wasn't there earlier when I got home, and any cars parked in the street on our block was suspicious enough. We live in a closed-off community, and everyone has huge driveways. I stepped down from the stoop and realized there was someone sitting in that car. I went back inside and locked the door. I went to my mom's room and told her. I think someone outside means us harm. My mom and dad have a complicated situation, so my dad doesn't always stay with us. It would have been a different story having my dad there to tell about this. My mom came downstairs with me, noticeably worried based on what I told her. My mom took a look through the peephole in the front door, then gasped and put her hands over her mouth. I looked through it as well and felt ready to throw up when I saw a huge man standing on the other side of the door on our stoop. I whispered to my mom, "I think that man followed me from Walmart." Suddenly the doorknob started to turn as the man tried opening the door when it didn't work. He started pounding on the door door, that's when my mom let out a gasp and cried. And my younger sister came out from her room, who also started to panic when becoming wise to the situation. The pounding stopped, then there was a silence for a while, other than my mom's voice on the phone with the police. A few minutes went by, my mom still on the line with the 911 with police en route, and there was a loud bang and crash downstairs in the den. A window was shattered. My mom and sister both screamed and cried. I told them to run upstairs while I locked the door to the den. I waited down there, expecting an attempt at the door or a bang. Nothing surprisingly, I heard a police car briefly wail its siren outside my house. It was the quickest response time I'd ever heard of. I ran outside to lead them to the den where the broken glass was there. They found a huge, dirty, crazy-looking man hiding behind one of our couches. He was arrested at once, and we pressed charges. All the while he was screaming profanities and threats at me, not helping his case. Both cops told me the guy seemed unstable and on some kind of drugs, but told us to get a good night's rest. He wouldn't be bothering us again, so while it may be fun to people watch at Walmart and laugh at some of the goofy things you see, realize you may also find some of the more dangerous people in our society in your local Walmart.